Hi YouTube, this is Evie. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. I am, however, very tired because it was just New Year's Eve last night. My hair is doing crazy things because I curled it, and I thought a good way to start off 2017 would be with a tag video. So I am actually going to be doing the kink slash sex tag, and I believe it was started by Alien Queen of Darkness. I have everything here on my phone, so we are going to be going over these questions, and hopefully you find them interesting. And of course, if you guys feel like doing this tag video as well, please feel free to. I would love to see all of your answers. Okay, so the first question is have you ever been to a fetish slash kink event? If so, what did you think about it? I've been to a bunch of different kink events, and I think they're awesome. I think they are a great way to experience BDSM. I think especially if you are new to the community and you want to get to know people, going to like a taster class or like some sort of I don't know, some kind of taster class, I guess, would really be the best way to experience kink for the first time. And my first experience was actually at a pet play party, and I thought it was just so much fun, and I met so many cool people, and it was really just a great way to actually get started in kink. Highly, highly recommend it. The second question is, have you ever identified as bisexual, gay, lesbian to yourself, partners, or friends? So in high school, I tried to come out to my mom as bisexual. That did not go well. And I don't identify that way any longer. I identify primarily, I guess is the best way to describe me, is I'm gray asexual. It's not something that I talk a lot about on my channel or mention because it just hasn't come up yet. So I am gray A. I am on the ace spectrum. That is sort of my primary thing. But because I am gray A, not just strictly asexual, I have experienced sexual attraction very rarely, and in terms of that, I consider myself polysexual, which means that I am attracted to more than just one gender, but not all of the genders. The difference between pansexual and polysexual is basically pansexual is attraction to any gender potentially, whereas polysexual is sort of multiple genders, but not necessarily all of them. Okay, number 3, have you ever had a threesome or more, MMFF or MMFF. So I have had a threesome before. It was 2 females and a male threesome, and that is really kind of the only one that I remember that sticks out in my head. And I thought it was alright. Again, I am gray A, so for me, having multiple partner sex, I kind of just think about it in terms of that seems very difficult to coordinate. That seems like a lot of work, and it could be fun, but for me, it's not really high in my priority list, and I'll try it again in the future because it's something that a lot of people in BDSM and in poly relationships do, but not really high on my list of things to do comparatively to everything else that I want to experience in life. 4, have you ever had sex with someone who is married to someone else? No, I have not. However, there is a lot of overlap in the BSM community and the poly community and the swinger community, at least here where I live. So I'm sure at some point in time I will have some sort of experience with somebody who is married in a completely consensual way for everybody involved, but hasn't happened yet, and it's not really something I am particularly worried about. I haven't had any experiences where like somebody's husband has like taken off their ring and like pretended to be single and then like dated me. Nothing like that has ever happened. Nothing like that I hope ever happens. But again, sometimes, at least in this community, there's a lot of overlap between swingers who are generally married couples who consensually have sexual relations or BDSM relationships outside of the normal bounds of their marriage. So, could happen, just hasn't yet. Number 5, have you ever had anal sex, given or received? So I have anal sex all the time. That's something I don't really talk about again on this channel, but this is basically a very TMI tag. So I have anal sex all the time. It's the kind of sex that I have the most. And I think it's awesome. I wish people knew how to do it well and knew how to do it better because it's a lot of fun. And I think it is a great way for people with all sorts of body parts to experience their sexual expression. I have only ever received anal. I have not given it, although I do have a little bit of an interest in pegging, but that's not something I can currently do with my partner because I am very strictly submissive. He is very strictly a top or a dominant, so we haven't done anything like that yet, but maybe at some point in the future it will happen. Number 6, what are some interesting things you've seen at kink parties? Oh, the things I have seen at kink parties. My wonderful, wonderful YouTube viewers. I think probably the I've seen the first time I was at a kink event, there was a hook suspension, which I didn't really watch. I just heard it happening, and that is definitely a very extreme form of play. You don't see every day because it requires so much prep work and it's really intense, but it does happen. I think besides that, I was at a Halloween party this year, and they had a bunch of sort of prearranged scenes that were happening to like entertain the guests, and there was one in particular that stuck out in my mind, and that was somebody was pretending to be a voodoo doll, and they were dressed up like a doll, and every single time you donated $1 to that dungeon, they got stuck with another needle. So they were just covered in needles, and I thought that was a really awesome idea for a very Halloween themed scene. I have really just seen a bunch of different stuff, but that is the one that probably sticks up most in my mind without like telling you guys every single story of something that I've seen while at a dungeon. Number 7, have you ever cross-dressed? I have not. I am very comfortable in my identification as a cisgendered female, and I find things, I was sort of a tomboy as a kid, just by virtue of the fact that was how I dressed, but it wasn't necessarily trying to pass as being male or trying to pass as androgynous. I'm wearing kind of androgynous clothing right now, but I still very much feel comfortable in my identification as a female. So I never cross-dress, not something that I'm particularly interested in, but who knows, maybe one day it'll happen. Number 8, do you think you are more sexually open-minded than your friends or past partners? I think all of my friends that I have now are very like sexually open-minded. Like we're all pretty much in the kink community and into BDSM and polyamorous and all that stuff. So everyone I know is pretty sexually adventurous. I know there's some people who get squicked out by more things than I do, and people who get squicked out by different things. So maybe not as adventurous in BDSM as me, but that is to each their own. In terms of past partners, I would say probably up until I was 20, yes, definitely way more sexually open-minded than a lot of my previous partners have been, just by virtue of the fact that they were all in like vanilla monogamous relationships, and I am very much not. Not to say necessarily that they look down on kinksters, but I did have one ex-boyfriend, my most recent ex, before I got involved in BDSM, when I tried to introduce him to BDSM as something that we could incorporate into our relationship. No, he did not understand that at all, and it did not go well, and that is why that relationship ended. So that's where we're at. Number 9, have you ever participated in sexual role play? This question is kind of confusing because I don't really know what that entails. Like, does that mean like dressing up like a naughty sexy nurse or like a sexy French maid outfit, or does like sexualized pet play count, or just role playing as like taking on a more submissive role? Does that count as role playing? I would guess probably, just because of the kinds of things I have done in BDSM. I would say probably, but not in any sort of like cheesy like porno way of like, ooh, naughty maid or like sexy like French maid kind of seduction thing with that. I find that very comical and I cannot take it seriously. So if somebody told me they wanted me to roleplay as like their doctor and be like the sexy like nurse assistant, I couldn't do that. I could not take it seriously. Number 10, have you ever given and or received oral from a member of the same sex? If you always lean more towards the same sex, have you received from a member of the opposite sex? I have. The thing that has happened, again, I am gray asexual, so sexual encounters don't really matter a whole lot to me, but it has happened. It was pretty good. 8.5 out of 10. 11, have you ever tried scissoring? No, I have not tried scissoring. I feel like I am not primarily attracted to women sexually, so I don't know how much scissoring actually happens in real life. 12. Have you ever had sex in public? Now, if by public you mean like having sex at like a public dungeon, yes, that has happened. I have had sex in front of like large groups of people at like private house parties and at dungeons, that has happened, but in terms of like a public place, like a park or in somebody's car, no, I get kind of weirded out by that sort of thing. I am okay with public displays of sex and public displays of affection happening in places where everyone has sort of generally consented to that kind of thing, like at a BDSM play party or at a dungeon. I'm more comfortable doing it there, but when there are so many people around that are not necessarily consenting to seeing that kind of thing, like again at a park or in a parking lot or something like that, not really super comfortable with it. So I guess that kind of depends on what you mean by public. Number 13, kink event pet peeves. There's so many. I have so many pet peeves of things that people do at play parties that they shouldn't do because they should know better. Probably the one that comes to mind the most that I personally experienced is where I live, people are very friendly and outgoing, and they tend to share a lot with the people that they like and that they know. So I have had an experience where I was at a play party once where someone kept trying to like offer my dom rope like as we were getting ready for the scene. He kept trying to like invade our space and like show us pictures of like ties that he done, and we're like, we're getting ready for a scene here, like can you like go somewhere else? Like people just not being respectful of other people's scene space at kink parties is just so annoying. And I also hate it when people are really, really obnoxiously loud during impact scenes because that shit happens a lot. If you're gonna be yelling and screaming every single time they lightly touch you with the rabbit fur flogger and just like screaming bloody murder and or making really like sexual like moaning noises like like that kind of thing. Oh, that is the worst. Just please, for the love of God, put a gag in so that way I can focus on being in this rope or whatever it is that I'm doing and not having to hear your scene going on. And just gets very annoying. I know it's a public space and that kind of thing is gonna happen, but when it's so overdone and on purpose to like make other people hear you, that really bothers me. Okay, and last question, number 14. Are you dominant or submissive? I feel like this should have been question number 1, but if you guys watch my videos, you would know I am a submissive. I am not a switch. I am purely 100% submissive. The only time I ever have any kind of toppy tendencies is because I like taking care of other people. So sometimes I like making food for other people. I like snuggling with other people. I like doing things that maybe can be construed as like a caregiver kind of top thing, but that's not really how I think about it. So 100% a submissive, not a dominant bone in my body. Anyways, that are all of the questions, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below if you want me to explain more of my answers or if you're curious about something else. Again, as I said earlier, if you want to answer these questions as well, please feel free to. I would love to see what your responses are. If you haven't subscribed already and you like this video, please do so down below, as well as give this video a thumbs up. And until I see you next time, have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.